Well, on this 6 month of sabbaticals that I'm just wrapping up today as my final day officially, one of the main takeaways has been a profound and pervasive gratitude for the gift of the Catholic Church. What a gift we have in Holy Mother Church in so many ways. And I would suggest to you that this first reading from the prophet Ezekiel is about the Catholic Church. This image of a temple, which is a symbol for God Himself, Jesus, and from this temple begins to flow water. The beginning of the church, first it just trickles out. It's only ankle deep. But as the seasons go on, and as the centuries pass, and as the years go by, it gets bigger, and it gets bigger, and it keeps spreading, and it gets waist deep. And as time goes on, it becomes so deep that you can't walk in it and wade in it. You have to swim through it. It covers the earth. But then, the second part, this water is fruitful. Trees on every side, producing every kinds of fruit, producing them repeatedly. And not only that, this water enters into the salt water, enters into the water that is not drinkable, that is not good for humanity, that is unhealthy, and changes it, transforms it, and makes it healthy. A couple quick illustrations about the fruitfulness. Part of my sabbatical, I was on the Camino de Santiago in Spain. And on this trip, for about 12 days total, myself and another friar, we met people from over 30 different countries, from all over the world, coming to Spain to walk on the Camino. And I was thinking, what a gift the Catholic Church has given to the world in the Camino. People come here, most of whom are not Catholic, many of whom don't even believe in God, but they're finding some kind of solace, some kind of encouragement, some kind of unity of the holiness of God in themselves on the Camino. And I'm sure many of you have heard that there were negotiations that happened on the Vatican just recently. And as a result, Cuba agreed to release 51 prisoners. Where did it happen? At the Vatican. The gift of the church, always fruitful, always helpful for humanity, always producing. And then turning the salty water into holy water, drinkable water. This is what we're called to do. This is what we're called to be. Mother Teresa famously said to her sisters, she wanted her sisters in every dark hole in the world, wherever there was sorrow, wherever there was darkness, wherever there was abuse, wherever there was evil, she wanted her sisters there, in that place, to bring light, to bring hope, to bring joy. This is what we're supposed to do. This is what Catholicism does. It changes things. I just got back from Nicaragua. And some of you know there's some persecutions that are happening there. And we have a friary in the diocese in the city of Matagalpa, where the bishop was imprisoned for a year. Property was taken. Our friars had our properties taken. They seized our bank accounts. But then they exiled the bishop. They exiled the director of the cathedral. They kicked out, I think, about 8 or 10 priests. But our friars are still there. And thank the good Lord that we're there. Because if it wasn't for the friars, there'd be no priest there. The people would have nothing. But because we're there, because the church preserves, because the church perdures. I'm not saying this about us, but I'm saying this about the providence of God. The providence of God in His holy Catholic Church. Throughout the centuries, it never fails. God provides for His people. And it's beautiful. The darkness, the saltiness becomes transformed by the grace of God. And this is exactly what Jesus does for this crippled man in the gospel. 38 years of misery, 38 years of being crippled, 38 years of bondage. And my brothers, I'm going to suggest to you that this is an image, a metaphor for each one of us. Yes, each one of us. Years and years we carry stuff in our hearts. Vices, sins, sometimes wounds, sometimes resentments, sometimes bitternesses, sometimes fears, sometimes insecurities. And we're carrying this stuff with us, and whether we realize it or not, it affects us. It affects us, and affects the people we live with, and affects the people that we work with, it affects the people that we encounter. But Jesus wants to come in and touch these places, liberate these places, make these places, as Ezekiel says, fruitful, and turn those salty, undrinkable areas in our own hearts into pure water, life-giving water. So I just encourage all of us, as we enter this final period of Lent, really look at your heart. Take a good look. Examine yourself. Because the purpose of Lent is not to suffer, not just to offer sacrifices, which we do in order to, for a purpose of, very efficiently to, come to know more deeply the love and the power and the presence of God by turning away from worldly attachments, turning away from sensual constrictions, so that we can be freer, more fruitful, and more pure. So my brothers, in this Holy Mass, let us pray for the grace to receive Jesus, to accept Jesus, and know that really He is the water that builds the church. He is the water that wants to come into us, and when He is in us, we become the water that spreads the church, and that fertilizes and hydrates the ground, and changes the face of the earth. You men in the Agrupación have the power and the potential and the grace, I will say the grace that God has given you to change the face of the earth by your fidelity. The more faithful you are to Him, the more you will be building up the church, and the more the church will change the face of the earth. His grace will never fail us. Trust in it, receive it, respond to it.